Hi everyone, my name is Pastor Ben Rea. Today I want to talk to you about fasting. Fasting is an often overlooked spiritual discipline, but it's actually a fantastic and powerful way to experience more of God's presence, more of His power and miraculous work in your life. In the Bible, just a quick overview, there are 3 different types of fasts. The first one is the total fast. This only comes up a couple of times. This is no food and no water. It's dangerous. I wouldn't recommend doing it without medical advice. And the example that springs to mind is Esther and the Israelites. They were going to be killed anyway, and she suggested that their people did a total fast for 3 days, no food or water. So that's pretty extreme. That's not normally what we're talking about with a fast, but it's there in the Bible. Second of all is the normal fast. This is water only with no food. In the Bible, there are people who fasted for 3 days, 7 days, 40 days. And this is a powerful time of drawing near to God. Then there's another overlooked type of fast, and this is what we call the Daniel fast, based on the fast that Daniel did in Daniel chapter 10. And in Daniel chapter 10, we see that he has no tasty foods. He basically has no meat, no bread, no sweets, nothing to drink but water. And this basic type of fast, he's only eating fruits and veggies and water. It's a boring fast, but here's the thing, you're never going to die. You could live your whole life that way, but it's taking the fun out of food. You're making a physical sacrifice for spiritual gain. Some vegans might be watching thinking, oh well, I'm feeling pretty clever because I don't eat all that stuff anyway. Here's the thing, vegans, you know how to make food delicious, and so you need to make sure that you're making a sacrifice. And the idea of the Daniel fast is to still make a sacrifice in your diet. And you're basically going to make food boring throughout the Daniel fast, and you'll have that commitment between you and God. So let me give you some concepts to do with fasting that are more spiritual in nature, now that we've had that quick overview. The first thought is this: you need to choose a fast that's meaningful to you. If it's not meaningful to you, it's not meaningful to God. Remember, a fast is a physical sacrifice for spiritual gain. It's got to be meaningful to you. Second of all, remember, it's not just dieting or starving. You know, losing weight might be a side benefit to fasting, but that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it for seeking God, and it's got a spiritual purpose. And so, in fact, the whole time that you're fasting, it's like you're in an attitude of prayer. Remember to deliberately spend extra time with God while you're fasting. You might take the time that you were going to be eating to spend time praying, reading the Bible, seeking God, that kind of thing. That's the benefit of the normal fast over the Daniel fast. In the Daniel fast, you have to make extra time to spend with God in prayer. But the normal fast, you just substitute the time that you'd normally be eating. So also remember that fasting is not to promote ourselves. The Bible warns against using it to show off. But some people get super extreme and they'll keep it a big secret that they're fasting. I don't think you need to be that kind of edgy about it. You can let people know that you're fasting, but the whole thing is don't be a show-off. That's all. That's what Jesus was talking about there in Matthew chapter 6. You'll still get the blessing if someone discovers that you're fasting, provided that your heart is in the right place. It's also not an excuse to change our temperament. Some of us get a bit cranky when we haven't been eating, and so just because you're fasting is no excuse to lose your temper with people. You got to keep that under control with God's power, and that humbling experience is part of the whole deal of seeking God. Finally, and most importantly, remember that fasting is not twisting God's arm. It's not saying to God, oh, I'm fasting, I'm praying, so you've got to do what I'm asking for. It's exactly the opposite, in fact. When you're fasting, you're submitting yourself to God, and you're choosing to trust Him and getting your life in alignment with Him. You're not forcing Him onto your agenda, you're submitting yourself and getting in line with His agenda. And when you're in that space, you'll sense God leading you, guiding you, you'll hear from Him in more powerful ways, you'll experience supernatural and miraculous breakthroughs, healings can happen, all kinds of miracles can happen. And they'll happen during the fast and for weeks or months following a fast as well, thanks to that time you've spent with God. God bless you.